Evening, guys. I'm just on my way over to the greenhouse, but I thought I'd take a stop at the lettuce bed. See, nighttime is the best time to check for slugs. And I've been pretty lucky this year because it's been such a hot early summer, and I haven't seen any evidence of them. But I always like to check every couple of weeks just to make sure. So let's have a look at the lettuce, see if we can see any slugs. It's pretty good so far. And this bed's really coming on. Hey, what are you doing there? There's a red Russian kale just chilling. I'll keep it. Oh, there's another one. Jeez. And another one. Okay, oh, wow, something's eating the kale, guys. Something's eating that kale. What could it be? I don't know. Well, no evidence, but it's not a slug. Ooh, look at all this kale. It only seems to be eating the kale, too. Okay. Well, let's check the basil. Oh, there's our zucchini volunteer. Oh, nothing's touching the basil. The basil's immaculate. What's that guy? Oh. He's probably munching on something, eh? Alright, let's head to the greenhouse. Alright, let's head to the greenhouse. What do I tell you? I love having power to the greenhouse. I could come out here at 2 in the morning if I wanted to. Now, one day, I'm going to take this greenhouse off the grid and do it in solar. Because really, I mean, probably only using about maybe 100, 150 watts of LEDs in here. Ooh, how those cherry tomatoes doing? Nice. Hey, puppy. What you see? My puppy's out hunting the rat that we've got in our compost. So, pup loves to do that. Alright, you can see the pumpkin here sent out another runner. It's making its way to the door. What do we got on this side here? Oh, this guy's coming along. I really got to clean up in here. Oh yeah, we got some new basil. It's a new variety I'm testing out. I found it to be a bit of a tall variety. So I'm really going to hack this stuff apart. I'll see if I can't push it out a bit. Interesting though. It's got a bit sweeter of a flavor. Less of that spice that this stuff has. So, could be interesting in some different recipes. Well, good evening, guys. Never thought I'd say that. Yeah, I never really thought I'd shoot a video at night, but oh, we got the lights here. I was gonna hang out in the jungle anyway, so I might as well shoot a video. So the idea for this video came along actually when I was in two places today. One, I was at the grocery store, and the other I was at a farm market. And I noticed one thing that struck me as very, very odd, and that was the price. The price of locally grown vegetables, whether it's organic or not. This produce was labeled as local, and it was clear as day. Because it was local, the price was jacked up. And that's not something that I can understand. Now, I can understand why they're doing it, but I can't understand why they're getting away with it. So here in the South Vancouver Island, probably much like places... There's something in the bushes out there. So here on South Vancouver Island, much like places in California, I assume, places in the Pacific Northwest, Washington, Oregon, you have this captive audience that sees labels like organic, GMO-free, free range, ethically raised, ethically harvested. You have all these labels, and you have this audience that gravitates towards it. They buy it exclusively, and rightfully so. I try to buy organic whenever I do have to buy vegetables. I always try and buy organic. Of course, it's a no-brainer. And GMO, don't even get me started. Of course, you don't buy GMO, and I'm fully supportive of having to label products if they do have GMO in them. I think that's a huge problem going forward. That's not really the issue I'm talking about here. I understand the food system. I understand big agriculture. If something is organic or free range, that costs more than conventional farming methods. So of course the prices are going to have to be higher. What I don't understand, having a working knowledge of the food transport system, is why when a product is local, does it cost more? I know why they do it, because they can get away with it, but it shouldn't. If you're buying directly from the farm, on the farm, I get that that's a trendy thing to do, and I get that there's people willing to pay for that, but I think it's setting a dangerous precedent. And I don't think that that should be the norm. Because if you're not paying for transport, if you're not paying for chemicals to preserve the vegetables for the long transport, if you're not paying for refrigerated transport, if you're not paying for a 30-year produce that doesn't make it because of spoilage, then your local product, everything else being equal, should be cheaper than the stuff in the grocery stores that's coming from South America, or Mexico, or here in Canada, California. To me, it's a pure money grab, and it's blatantly obvious, and it's quite comical, because you'll see a lot of these fruits and vegetables. They're not even labeled as organic, which, for the last 10 years was the term to use to get this sort of audience to buy your stuff. But now you put local on there. Oh, wow, 100-mile diet. It's better for the planet, the carbon footprint. I get all that. Why do you think I'm a farmer? But what I don't get is, why does it cost more? Because the inputs to get that product to that shelf are far less than the products coming from further south. There's a tomato sucker. It's a tough one. Huh. It's interesting the things you see at night, because all the shadows are different, and it's a different perspective. Geez, I could probably desucker a lot of these again. Yeah, so without getting too political, it's quite obvious that the food system as it exists now is not sustainable very far into the future. The idea of trucking fruits and vegetables from one continent to another, it just seems ridiculous. With the technology that we have now, you can pretty much grow everything anywhere in the world. And so this whole system of transporting fruits and vegetables from thousands of miles away is not sustainable. But then having this business model of charging more just because stuff is grown locally, that is also not sustainable. So when the two collide, what's going to give? And so what I think is going to happen is Big Green is going to grow local, and they're going to drive the prices down. And it's going to drive these small organic farmers out of business. And how do you feel bad for them when clearly they've been taking advantage of an audience that is buying a product just because it's labeled a certain way? No, I wouldn't go as far to say it's a shady business practice. If the market is there and the market will bear it, then that's the price, supply and demand. It's economics 101. But with the type of audience they're dealing with, you would think at some point ethics comes into play, and this sort of price gouging would cease to be justifiable. I realize it's pretty ranty. It's not something I normally complain about. I have a long list of complaints, and usually organic farming isn't part of it. But it's also an industry that I feel super passionate about. So when I see something like this, it sort of resonates a bit more. Now, don't get me wrong. It's not like I don't want you to support your local farmer. Of course I do. I just want you to take a moment to realize what you're paying for. And if you're just paying for a label, if the inputs for that product don't actually increase because of that label, then maybe you should question how much you're paying. And in terms of groceries and the food world, the biggest vote you get is with your dollars. So if you see an instance of clear price gouging, of a market charging more just because something is local, all things being equal, take a long, hard look and decide whether or not that's something you want to support. And enough people do this, if enough people think like this, then maybe that'll change the strategy of how stuff is priced. Okay, that's it for me. It's far too late to be this ranty and this complainy, so I'm just going to zen out for a bit in the greenhouse. At some point, I got to go check out what animal that is outside because the pup is going nuts. And I don't want her barking late at night. It already is late at night. So yeah, anyway, I hope you found this interesting. I know it's not like my usual videos where I'm showing you how to do something. It was just an important topic that I thought we could talk about. So, leave some questions or comments down below. Hit subscribe if you like this video and all the other videos. Tomorrow I'll be back with another how-to. I had a few ideas today. That I'll make sure to get filmed over the weekend. So stay tuned for those videos, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye, local.